Okay. When we last left our heroes, we had, let me think, we were down in the temple, and Kiln's sword was out, had a rock chucked at them. Roddy was right there. Uh, this big rocky construct thing had come barreling out of the temple structure, ruins, pile of rocks, and was charging out there, and uh, Joe had kind of leapt across the open space, hat flying free, jacket trailing in the wind. I am sure there's a Hellboy picture of him like leaping through the air with his trench coat trailing behind him. Um, uh, you know, meeting fist for fist there. Meanwhile, Met looking down on the whole thing from up above, having just had a revelation of her own kind of click into place regarding sort of the the bit of influence that this Magitech stuff that Killen's talked about seems to have had on her own future, and Alex's eyes. Uh, is there any external indication if you're like sort of using your say internal modem and stuff like that I mean, do you just get 1,000 yard stare? Do your eyes like roll back in your head? What's the special effects on like going hacking when you're just kind of standing there? Is there anything like that we would?
I mean, not in universe because that would defeat the point. As a comic panel, you can probably say that they're surrounded by, like,
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
holographic pop-ups and stuff like that. But just if you looked at Alex, they would probably just look bored, like extremely bored and disconnected.
Yeah, there's not like a super obvious tell in any case. Oh, look, her eyes went white. She must be hacking instead of like doing her math homework or doing her math test or whatever. Nothing like that. Gotcha. All right. Um, she did the savior thing, but we did not have. So I if this is okay with everybody, I kind of like this idea of everything kind of happening in slow mo with Joe kind of in the air, like, and the rock thing coming and Killen kind of gaping and Metz, and then we go to Alex, whose internal reality is running at full speed, like, because they're doing something else, so they're like vooping through the systems in the in the museum, bopping from camera to camera, bopping down to like hard drive storage, from there to systems, systems on the network. Um, you know, we the camera, the panels are like following, this computer up to this thing, and I don't know, maybe there's narration box text, like Alex sort of monologuing about the relative quality of computer defense, computer system defenses, how easy or hard they are to hack. Um, Almost a kind of a uh, oh god, what's that one hacking show that's on Amazon?
I got one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, Security here is really lax, and then this stone monster just bursts out of the temple. See?
I like that. Um, so in this sort of sped up Alex time, I'm going to have you do the completely unrelated uh, assess the situation thing related to the intel that you were trying to gather previously.
All right, and I sent you a DM on the
I did,
forums. I don't
yeah.
have a chance to read it.
I did look at it. I don't. There wasn't a die roll necessarily attached to it yet, so I think that's the only thing we had to kind of sort out, just in terms of which. Hey, look at that. So a success gives you two options or three? I always mess that up. Assess gives you on a 10 ask 2.
Did you have ready answers for any of these? Because if you do,
I
I'll take them.
I'm pretty good on any one of them, basically. I mean, I'll be
Okay.
honest, I was hoping for the 6, but now I'm good here.
So I'm going to say, what here's the biggest threat? In that sense, the biggest threat is whoever sent a team of supervillains to a museum.
Um, you don't find an obvious answer to that, and we did. This gives you. I want everybody to understand that this is happening within split seconds, and you're piecing together multiple pieces of information within that period of time. So what you're seeing, um, terrible password discipline here with regards to some of the, especially the administrators. The higher up you go, the worse it is. Um, so what there is um, two big key pieces of information. The big takeaways are that Hellbinder sent an email directly to the administrator for the museum saying that he would be sending over a group for a field trip on such and such date at such and such time if that would be suitable uh, for, if that would be suitable and fit within their schedule. And in and of itself, pretty innocuous. A little bit weird that he's sending it directly to the administrator rather than like the scheduling personnel who handle that kind of stuff, because there's literally people whose specific job is to handle field trips from schools. Um, there is, however, a $250,000 donation to the museum from the Phoenix Academy Endowment uh, in two pieces. $100,000 of it an hour previous to that email being received, and then an hour after the or not even an hour, 15 minutes after the administrator replies that they find themselves suitably staffed for just such a field excursion and have some specific some specific attractions at the museum that he believes the staff will be uh, perfectly, or rather that the students will be very interested in. Um, Again, as usual, any one of the, in the case of, any of these field trips, of course, students are expected to bring uh, their own lunches, their own, scholastic supplies as needed or dictated by the by the teaching staff, and of course the school is expected to provide any additional learning material above and beyond what the museum already provides. Okay? All of these are set in a very specific way that to Alex's mind feels like code. Am I using that right? Cipher is like letter
No,
substitution.
you got
Code
it.
is
Yeah.
phrases. Yeah, okay. So yeah, feels like code. So it feels like coded phrasing, right? 15 minutes after that's sent, the other $150,000 drops in as a donation, again from the Phoenix Academy. Although, to their credit, the second donation is anonymous, but come on. And the bank that it comes from is exactly the same bank. It's administered by the same, it's got the same transaction numbers from the same bank, and you're pretty sure, based on the notes that came after and the syntax of the sort of like memo field that was filled in there, probably the same teller at the bank handled it in both cases. Um, so yeah, that.
Okay. Short version is the museum got a payoff from the school for somebody wrecking our shit.
And slightly larger inference there is that this is a standard transaction that happens with enough regularity that they've established channels of communication and phrasing for it, up to and including, as a reminder, you have to bring the extracurricular learning materials.
Yeah. All right. Who hears or what hears in the greatest danger? In other words, what is the objective of the operation?
For that previous thing,
Yeah.
um, boy, the trick here, the reason I'm kind of pausing is I have exactly the answer, but it's not here. Like the museum wouldn't know what that is.
That's fair. I've been
Okay.
working on this since we left the museum the first time now,
Right.
so
Okay.
it feels reasonable to say
Yeah. With an
that
11, I
I
can
can look at.
with an 11, I can probably give you that. Piecing together some of the other stuff because you've been looking at the whole length and breadth of the communication as regards to that. You hadn't really found a lot in Aegis. There's some chatter about the fact that the students were going to go on the field trip whenever a big cluster of young, overpowered individuals are just going to wander into town. Aegis tends to notice and make contingency plans, but it wasn't anything particularly noteworthy about that. There was a lot in this context. What clicks into place for you is communications between Hellbinder and Sergeant Surge about, you know, pursuant to our conversation yesterday about the field trip, here are my additional suggestions for, given what's at the museum, I think this person should be the person that goes. Certainly, his history with several of the students will help add depth and breadth to the conversation that happens there. Which seems weird for the way Surge is actually saying it. And then Hellbinder's like, well, I'll check with the museum staff and a little bit of a confirmation back later. Well, we've got the confirmation back. We still need to make sure that we've got all the extracurricular set up. And Surge is like, that is not going to be a problem. I've already sent out requests, and I've got a few potential contracts that we'll be able to, pull together. So kind of weird, a little bit like frown worthy, but now in this context, you're like, okay, I can put this together and that together. I lined it up. Surge put the word out and somehow left feelers out there that suggested to people it would be a really good day to hit the museum. Something. So in terms of what the purpose of the op was, apparently they wanted some C-level villains to hit the museum and see how the class did.
Okay.
If that's a rather unorthodox training run by the two individuals that probably would qualify as being probably the most unorthodox in the school and probably the ones that Aegis are going to think the least fondly of, because Surge, previous villain who's on basically a work release program, and honestly, that's kind of Hellbinder too. It's just worse, like on a more cosmic scale, because he killed like the whole bunch of students and came back, once he wasn't possessed anymore. So these two guys who are already kind of shady are kind of playing kid gloves off, which was always been Hellbinder's kind of motif anyway. But that seems to be what was going on there.
Okay.
No
So
real indication that Aegis had much of a clue about any of this.
they brought in the Dallas Cowboys or whatever's some professional sports team, but not the number one team, to give the school football team a run down.
A bit, yeah. On behalf of some of the people who didn't fare so well on that, obviously it didn't work out well for everybody. Not everybody exactly covered themselves in glory, and they didn't put a lot of effort into making sure the entire class was there. So there's that too. So they weren't trying to like test the whole group.
You couldn't send just us without it looking artificial.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I think I've got my questions answered.
All righty. Meanwhile, so we get back out, and if you'll allow, I don't know. So when you kind of lose at least your middle distance stare and kind of snap back into focus, what's Alex's like single phrase or one word like hot take on what they just figured out? Like, do we get like everything kind of snaps back into focus for them, and it's like, oh, or son of a, or cheese and crackers.
I think it's going to be something like, for that much money, they could have given me a better stock to electronics lab.
Meanwhile, everything else resumes back up into full speed. And Joe, you are, and I would, I guess, have you said you were rolling, you were getting out there to defend and protect
I'm
everybody. So I would.
going out there to defend,
All right.
particularly Roddy, because Roddy needs defense because he doesn't know. He doesn't have good judgment.
So your defense thing. Defense is a defense. Gotcha. Regardless of what it is, I mean,
Yeah.
the goal is really clear. What's that look like though? Are you landing in a? Is it a flying tackle kind of a thing, or is it a punch to knock him back kind of a deal? Like
it's gonna
2 feet to the chest.
It's gonna be a flying tackle kind of thing.
Okay, cool. For the purposes of knowing what it's going to look like. All right, well, I believe that's a savior roll, so let's see what we got.
It would be, except that when the bull is defending my rival in battle, I get to roll danger instead of savior.
Oh. Well then, in that case, roll danger. Are you, just out of curiosity, I want to make sure that you don't have a condition that messes with that roll.
I have angry,
which does not mess with that. Does not mess with. Yeah, that doesn't mess with the danger roll in any case, so it shouldn't do anything weird there. So, at your leisure, sir. Bloop. Whoops. Crap. Hit the wrong button. 9. A 9, a 2, and a 4, and a 3. That's a lot of danger. All right. Defend.
Danger is my business.
7 to 9.
So
it costs you. So you protect them, you keep them safe, and you choose one from the list. But on the 7 to 9, it costs you. You either expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation.
It's Joe. I'm going to escalate the situation.
Okay.
And for the thing. I said, okay.
You either add team to the pool, take influence over someone that you protect, or clear a condition.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to clear angry. Actually, I could actually probably argue that.
I mean,
but
yes, I mean, one of the ways to naturally clear angry is hit something. So certainly, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, a little bit of venting goes a long way.
What did I roll?
A 9.
I was gonna say, James, that was like a fridge the other day.
That's not. I'm not actually targeting him, so never mind. I will.
James, I have a question coming your way as soon as.
I would like to take influence over Sync, which I already have.
Okay.
So I am happy to mess with his head.
Okay.
Mess away.
So you can shift his labels having taken influence, but yeah, what do you say? Like, what is your battlefield quip here that goes along with the shifting of labels here? Or if you're saying I'm specifically going to mess with the head, you can make it a provoke or something fun like that.
Well, I'm taking these shifting of labels and kind of messing with his head.
Sure, absolutely, totally fine with that.
I am going to. Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm gonna shout at him to get to safety.
So that's mundane up.
Mundane up. Danger down.
Oh, that's glorious. I will say
very hard to get that mundane down.
And since this is I believe this is not actually like using your influence to shift labels kind of thing. This is a consequence of the taking influence, which happens. I don't think this is a thing where you can resist the influence, I think. Is that fair? Do you think is that a fair read? Like you
Well,
wouldn't have.
it
Go ahead.
doesn't matter one way or the other because my danger couldn't go down anymore, so I'm just marking a condition.
Oh,
Mm.
I love it. Actually, I love that anyway. That's awesome. What are you marking?
Guilty.
Guilty. Oh,
Really?
because he's throwing himself into danger, like he thinks he needs to protect you. And is that it? Is that am I
Yeah.
reading that wrong? Okay.
Because that will be followed up with get to safety. Damn it, Joe!
All right.
You're the one who can't dodge a punch.
Escalate the situation. Love it. Hey, Kiln, I got a question for you. So you got these battle golem earth creature thingy bobs, right?
Creature pubs.
Creature bobs, right? You got these things. And
I thought there was only one.
right. I'm speaking of them collectively as an entity from your distant past.
Ah,
Okay?
yes. Continue.
Population overall of creature bobs.
Right. When they're going into a situation and they find themselves suddenly outgunned or outmanned and need to say hold a position or something like that until reinforcements arrive, or just generally need to ramp up the pressure, do they have, or I should say, what is there like in D&D 4th edition, rules? What's that once per day power that they have that gives them a sort of a field leveling maneuver, like animate all the rocks around them and turn them into little mini golems, or that's where I was going with it, but I wanted to see if you had something cooler or different. Gatling gun, fireball, Gatling gun. Whatever. Saving that one for later.
It's more likely to be something focused on themselves rather than spreading out and creating a bunch of smaller golems.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
They're still kind of like a sort of an earth elemental kind of dealy bob, though, yeah? I mean, that's earth powers
Yeah.
and the like. Okay. All right. So
Turn diamond briefly.
what's that?
Turn to diamond briefly, or
Yeah,
something defensive.
but we're going to escalate here a little bit. So if you will forgive me a moment here as I am backing over to 616 images. Okay, so Joe, you come in there and you're like, you land on the thing and almost swing to its back a little bit. It's grabbing you, pulling you around, arms amongst it. There's like a lot of almost Greco-Roman kind of wrestling stuff going on, but really kind of crawling over each other. And you're telling
Telling Roddy,
shouting at Roddy to get to safety and that kind of thing. He finally gets a proper grip on you and throws you clear of him. I guess, a dozen feet or so away. You land on your feet, hand kind of a skid thing, and it takes stock of the situation. You see the eyes kind of narrow and kind of squint, and it shifts the body somewhat. Like it takes stock of things, and it seems to react by actually almost kind of shifting its body. It becomes denser. It kind of compresses down. This isn't exact, and there's like, and its feet kind of do like. How much of a nerd is Joe? Like from the days before, kind of thing.
Not much.
Not much of one. Moviegoer.
Some,
Maybe.
sure.
Well, this is really
more watching TV and more watching streaming services.
Gotcha. All right. Well, then this is probably more of a explanation for Dave than anything else. The comparison to make for Dave than anybody else. Maybe Roddy would appreciate it. But the thing basically tree beards its feet down into the floor. in a very, extending root like kind of thing, and its body actually shifts pretty. It isn't this extreme, but you do get sudden plant growth on the body kind of thing. It's not like it suddenly manifests cloth or anything like that, but it definitely changes its general demeanor, and it extends. You feel like a thrum through the floor, and there are suddenly vines everywhere. They're like bursting out of the ground. They're wrapping around your arms. They're shooting out towards the other people and stuff. But it's just like this growth explosion. Kind of in a 180-degree arc out in front of its feet, like that's where it kind of starts. But it's they're grabbing you from like various limbs. It's it's Fezzik fighting 13 people, right? There's some shooting.
Somewhat appropriate since we just watched that last night.
Princess Bride, or the Treebird thing.
No, Two Towers.
Oh,
Towers.
Nice. So we've got that's happening. The vines are shooting at Roddy, shooting at you, and it's kind of pulling itself loose from the ground. So it doesn't seem like it has to be like, now that it's started this nonsense, it doesn't seem to be beholden to keep the thing going. You just have this other craptacular mess to deal with on top of everything else. So you've got all that stuff all over you. There's, plant bitsies shooting around. And I will say, Kiln, what do you do? Joe looks like he's, is it the little pollutions that tied down Gulliver with the little ropes?
Yes.
That kind of a deal. He's got that situation going on. The vines are shooting at Roddy, although Roddy he's half distracted, but still kind of sidestepping everything. So that's not an immediate concern. Stuff coming your way. This thing is pulling itself loose from the ground and looking for the next target to squish. Was tust du?
I am going to go race and put myself between it and Joe.
Between the thing and Joe. And that's probably where he's still gonna, like, now that Joe's kind of getting entangled. Okay. Well, all right then. Coming at Joe. Joe's kind of like, and I think, have you do a defend as well. Keep the thing off of him while he's dealing with the plant thingies. That would be a savior roll, I believe. Unless
Yes.
you have a cool thing that changes what it is.
That's what I was just going to look at.
Always have to be aware of the cool things.
No.
Alrighty. Jeez, you guys' dice are just killing me. It is, the girls are absolutely convinced that you guys have stolen all their good rolls. Because they can't roll for a damn right now.
I just want you to ask them one simple question that'll clear all that up. What will they give to get those rolls back?
I don't know. Honestly, they benefit from it. I mean, I think the Nova has like 7 advances or something crazy like that because of all the bad dice rolls that she has. It's impressive. Shocking. All right, an 11 on the defend. So that is basically the same thing, sort of the same result as what Joe was getting, but without the choose to escalate or put yourself at risk kind of a thing. So you can add team to the pool, take influence over someone you protect, clear condition if you see fit. Any of those options, pick one of those, and that's all you have to do. You don't have any other stuff. You do keep them. You do defend Joe from this thing. So barring anything else, I would like to know what that defense looks like, but you can narrate at first and then tell us what you're picking or any of that kind of stuff. Plants are not what you're defending it from. I'm going to make Joe deal with that on his own since he escalated it, but the blocking the guy, the thing, that is what we're defending from.
I will disagree slightly with that
All right.
summation, as this, for me, is protecting both of them.
Okay. Both of the big guys.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying you
And-
have to hurt the guy. I'm just saying
Well,
like
no.
yeah.
But in turn, I would like to take influence over him. The
Oh.
rock.
Well,
Rock
okay.
man.
Well, yeah, that's fine. If you're defending him, trying to keep him from whatever. Okay, so what's this look like then? What's the defense then look like? How do you diffuse some of this, I guess, or what's this defense to keep him from getting hurt look like?
I'm going to, since Joe seems rather
He's not
tied up.
I would say he's not immediately preoccupied with what the rock guy is. I mean, he might certainly keep one eye on him, but right now
He has other things to deal with.
yes.
I'm so Racing and stand between the two of them facing the rock, and
Gotcha.
I'm going to shout up, Captain Yega, stand down.
And there isn't. I mean, the role is what the role is. That's the defense thing. So I like that.
I see as placing myself between the two of them, I'm keeping either Joe or the rock from immediately tossing something at the other again.
Fair enough. Hey, you definitely draw this thing up short, if not to attention. Although I will say that the plant stuff is not immediately resolving itself, but that's it's not also choking Joe out yet or anything like that. So it kind of focuses on you, like it stops and kind of pulls back, like what like kind of like a in shock or sudden surprise. A new threat has arrived, kind of reaction, really. Now, is this a being that would know you specifically? I mean, you called it by name, so I'm thinking yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think okay. So it pulls back. It's not immediately attacking, but it's not also immediately recognizing you. Like it's almost circling, like it's pulled back, and but at the same time it hasn't dropped its guard, and it's still kind of moving, like it's expecting an attack, or it's looking for an opening for its own attack, or something like that. Although this is not a creature that was ever designed for like dueling, so it doesn't necessarily lend itself to that. kind of activity, although it is a little bit, you know, uh, that's what it seems to be doing, is like identify. And I'm looking for some, well, I mean, shouting the, whatever, however you identify yourself, I want to see if you can get through the dust on this thing's memory. So there's something to overcome here, but I want to hear first kind of like how you respond to, this identify. Identify.
This is Kiln of the 23rd Battalion. By order of the Council of Fervelion, you will stand down.
All right. I am fine with I am immediately suggesting one of two things. I leave this somewhat to you, honestly. This could be a provoke where you're just, and that's sort of the obvious one, but this society that you come from is one of Magitech, and you are, commander, captain, that kind of thing. So what you're invoking, how you're invoking it, and the creature you're invoking it toward, all of those things speak to a kind of rote pattern of command and response that it may have been sort of imbued with or trained with or whatever. So if you wanted to go provoke. If you want to say what I am doing is overcoming the dust in its system, in its brain and its memories, and getting to that shiny core of memory and understanding beneath, and you want to go freak, you want to go overcome, and actually like this is an invoking of power in terms of invoking the rituals of your people, I am also fine with that. So, but I do want to know, which is it? Is this a personality based kind of, ordering stand down soldier kind of thing, or does this have a supernatural magic kind of invoking of power, of that other kind of power to it? Because the special effects team needs to know.
I think it's more of the latter.
Okay. By identifying your rank, you're asserting that you have the right to command this thing, this creature, whatever it is, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In that case, I'm going to have you roll overcome. And we'll see how well it sticks. You guys' dice. It's killing me. They're killing me. All right.
Killing you?
I said they're killing.
Actually, doing the exact opposite of that. We're trying to do this friendly like.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not killing him. Still killing me. All right. Overcome. All right. Although this is still kind of interesting. When you unleash your powers, overcome an obstacle in this case. Roll freak on a hit. You do it on a 7-9. Mark a condition, or the GM will tell you how the effect is unstable or temporary. The GM would also like to comment that the concept of this being unstable or temporary is delicious.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it's unstable or temporary, so okay. I'm happy to go with that.
Well, so this may or may not stick, and well, yeah. Again, your connection is going to be shaky at best at this point in time. In fact, I know exactly what that's going to look like. So there's going to be some stuff that happens just a little bit later that will be kind of like almost, sort of got a cutscene shield around it a little bit. Let me, let that be known that that's sort of a consequence of what we just picked right here. Okay. So he's, you actually see it kind of, take another step back and kind of, stand for just a second to attention and kind of snap its head in a salute, like a sharp nod kind of a thing. How did you pronounce his name?
Nega.
Nega. Kiln? How are you here? How are you still alive? Everyone else is dead. How are you still alive? Where were you? What? And and then a very human gesture of kind of like the hand going to the brow and kind of like, shaking the cobwebs off kind of a thing. It kind of like, almost, it shades its eyes almost a little bit with its hands as it kind of goes up to its temple, like it's trying to remember or think or just, deal with a migraine, kind of a thing. It's, did you come because the temple woke? No, you woke the temple. All right. So, if you would, Kelm, kind of give us the 1-page, 6-panel flashback as to what these things are. Like for the reader, what role did they fill in your society? What did they do? How did you know this one in particular, and what was your relationship like? Like, give us the 6-panel rundown thing before we reply to this guy.
This was or he's from a race of people who were created somewhat later by the god Agi, and for the exact purpose of fighting against the great war demon Fluvis.
Fluvis
Not
again.
Elvis.
Not Elvis. Definitely not Elvis.
And this one in particular, Nega, there, yes.
I see how the F and the E, if your handwriting was bad, would actually line up to make you kind of go, did I write Elvis?
It's not even handwriting, it was typed out.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I blame my mother.
Okay. That's fair.
Dyslexia rules.
And then in the comic panels, there'll be some silent panels of like Kiln and Nega, rushing towards some water elementals.
Yeah, some otherwise largely faceless, horde of enemies, in the midst of a battle, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and like some celebration.
Sure.
And yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so some celebration. There's some of that little yellow box voiceover. It's like, we're brothers in arms, comrades, fellow soldiers, friends, kind of that kind of a thing. And then we're back here to this. If I say like considerably more worn down. The colors in your memory of him are richer than the way he looks now. He's grayer. There's less vibrancy to the energy within him that shows out in the various cracks and seams in the eyes.
Kind of bent over some.
Yeah, there's a difference to the body. There's a difference to the whole like sort of stature. Carriage. Yeah. All of that sort of thing, and there's a certain unsurety to him. Just in all of that, wasn't really there in the fighting, but now it certainly is. So again, we come back to that same thing of like, how are you still alive? How are you here? How did you wake the temple? I thought it was Fluvis.
Sorry, wait,
That's what he's sort of saying is like, how did you wake the temple? I thought it was Fluvis. How are you still alive? Like the questions are just, if they're overwhelming you, that's fair. It's overwhelming him a bit too.
No, comprehension skills.
It's all right.
Hush. I managed to survive the last siege. The Magicraft wielders placed me in some sort of old technology. I awoke now. Nigga, it's been thousands of years.
6,384 since I last saw you. I came the slow way, Kiln. I've been alone a long time, sleeping, thankfully, for much of it, waiting for some sign, some reawakening of the old technology, of the old magic. I thought it would either be an ally or, more likely, Fluvis awakening. I would have one more chance to strike his heart. End all of it, and hopefully myself. But it's you. That's wonderful news. I have survived, and you have survived, and Fluvis is no more. And that doesn't ring true to what you've been to that's the you get that nice anxiety spike, that really heartwarming anxiety spike of when you're trying to forget that you have a mountain of homework to do, and somebody mentions something that reminds you of it while you're out getting burgers, and you really ought to be doing but it's that but it's what they're saying, aside from the anxiety of it, the worry that don't say that or you're going to jinx it. There's the sense that it is fingernails on a chalkboard, gratingly at odds with what your dreams were telling you. Like, it's just goosebumps up your spine reaction to what he's saying, that that's not true. Perhaps even hearing them say it is the thing that makes you just absolutely certain that that's not true, that Fluvis is not gone. What do you do? How do you react? Or, I'll add parenthetically, can they tell that reaction from your expression? Like, does your own facial expression, body language, and stuff change enough for them to know something?
Probably the other team members would be able to tell, but it seems like Nega is still rather out of it, so I don't think he would be able to.
Gotcha. Okay. So, as this great rocky creature is saying, like, it's like, this is wonderful, I have survived and you have survived, and Flubus is no more. And Flubus, the name keeps coming back up, is what Killen had been talking about earlier. The vines had somewhat died down pretty quickly. They're not drying up, withering away, anything like that, but they stopped trying to hog tie, you, Roddy. But so that's good. Joe, you're able to kind of like tear yourself loose, like just, I'm reminded of like Scientist Hulk from the last Avengers movie, where like just sort of casually ripping his shirt off so he could like pretend to be old Hulk. Just seems gratuitous to me, kind of thing. I feel like Roddy would be more likely to be the person that would notice that shift in. Lewis is left of Roddy, you may be more likely to notice Killen's reaction to this like this really kind of almost I would say a flinch reaction kind of a thing. Met, even though you're further away, likely to see something like that. Although I'm not necessarily sure where your attention's at on this. And actually, let's ask that question. So this ended almost as quickly as it started up. The rock guy tussled with Joe for a second, and the burst of plant thing, and then suddenly Killen was between them and shouting commands and getting the thing to call a step back. The glass is in the way, so you're not hearing the exchanges very clearly, but something that this thing says really seems to give Killen a chill and set him back in the same way almost that this rock construct took a step back from him at something he said. Killen almost seems to have like reacted that same way. Alex, you probably, you don't have quite the same view that not immediately the meta, since you were, for at least a second or so off, doing something else and then kind of coming back to this action as it's coming. So you're stepping forward up to where you can see it more clearly as this is sort of happening. So you missed a bit of that. Although you can see, obviously something came down because the floor has got three kinds of hell tore out of it. And the temple structure itself seems to be in even a little bit more disarray than it was. That's probably not going to go unnoticed in the larger museum for very long. Realizing I don't normally do this, but with Kiln getting right of first refusal, what does anybody do? Like this, what if anybody immediately has like some sort of question answer thing to say, do
Yay, team! Did we win?
I probably want to use one of my moves at some point here.
Okay. What's that?
Either applied history or 21st century studies. Trying to remember. To pierce the mask is.
Pierce the mask is a like sort of it's a mundane thing, if that's where you're going with that question.
No, I mean, both of these I can use. I have something that does it differently, but
So 21st century science tells you
basically I'm
things
trying
about
to
the
decide
situation.
which one. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is actually find out sort of more about this creature and his relationship to the future. I think that's more applied history than 21st century studies.
For sure, yeah.
It's the person, not the situation.
Yeah. When you pierce the mask on someone you believe will shape the future, you roll savior instead of mundane. It's an interesting application from here. I'm not against it. This is more me noting the interesting oddness of it because he's not human. So and you're not talking to them, exchanging. So you're really kind of sort of reading from afar, and that would imply to me, as you're reading him, that getting this sort of pierce the mask kind of read on him, that his body language, even at a distance, is familiar enough to you within your sort of wheelhouse. Like it's familiar enough to you to read, which is interesting. I'm not saying, well, that would make it impossible because he's not. I'm saying that should convey to everybody how much, probably unlike he used to be, he is now. If he's so easy to read him from a distance, how clear his body language must be for Met to be able to get sort of a read on him. I'm not the only thought there, and I'm gonna.
And the other option is to use remember someone or investigate the time frame. I think maybe actually the better.
Yeah, because I'm not, the only thought I had with the Pierce the Mask is I'm not sure if those questions are going to give you the kind of answers that you're looking for. They're really kind of relevant or so. So the remember someone, when you push yourself to remember the version of someone that exists in your future, mark a condition and roll memories. On a hit, blah, 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 blah.
So remember someone would put a name in the memory board.
Yes.
And investigate the timeline fills in a piece of information.
Right. When you push yourself to remember a version of someone as they exist in your future, mark a condition and roll memories. On a hit, you connect who they are now to who they are in the future. Choose the role they fulfill in the future, and the GM will tell you about their future self. Okay.
And the other is investigate the timeline and tie it back to the previous one where we were looking at the runes on the temple on those.
And how that like had something
reminded
to do with,
us of the Wiggins.
Yeah, swapping personality transferal.
So maybe that's it as a continuation of that investigation.
Sure. I'm good with either of those things, whichever. I mean, honestly, you could point that remember someone at Kiln just as easily as you could at this rocky creature that you're seeing. Either one of those. Like in this context with Kiln, in this context with this thing, and relevant, close to the temple and stuff like that, that might be some like sort of box ticking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, start of each session.
Them into a box.
I think investigate the timeline probably has some prerequisites that don't quite qualify. Start of each session or when time passes, and we haven't had either of the things since the last time, so probably.
Okay. So why don't we remember something?
Okay. Who do you want to have this pointed at? It can be. I'm not saying it has to be Kelton at all. It could absolutely be this guy. This.
I think I want to have it to be this guy.
Okay.
Because what I'm trying to determine in some ways is sort of where does he fit in? Is he part of the? Is he a threat? using something like this to judge a response to him.
Sure, absolutely. Cool. I like it. All right, in that case, you roll memories. All right, a 7. Okay. On a hit, you connect who they are now to who they are in the future. Choose the role that they fulfill in the future, and the GM will tell you about their future self. On a 10 plus, you get to ask a follow-up question. But that does not come up. So really, it's kind of up to you. Like, are they a positive or a negative?
Yeah, I'm going to say that in my future, they're corruptor.
Okay.
Because they're related to that unconscious transfer.
Okay. Love it.
You know, Kiln may not even be aware of it, that's what actually happens with these creatures.
Or even if that Kiln might protest accurately, well, that's not what they do. That's not how they work. And that may be true 6,000 years ago. Stuff happens. All right, so we're putting, if you
What's
would,
his name?
It's a GN.
GNEGA. Nega.
Mm-hmm.
Under corruptor for you. GNEGA. Okay, so you're seeing this and you're putting putting it together. The corruptor, this mind transfers somehow it had been connected with the corruption or the assault that the AI had taken against humankind. You're seeing this technology leverage. You're seeing this thing somehow at the heart of it, causing it or facilitating it or acting
being manipulated by it.
Being manipulated by it or acting as the pivot point, the fulcrum for it, something like that. And as your eyes widen, just then, pounding of feet from one of the entrances and some tape. Get the tape out of the way, and coming in there as like, what are you kids doing in there? Everyone's free. What is that thing? And Nega's head kind of comes up and swings their general direction, and the blue light goes red, and he's like, no, not no, and he takes like 2 steps back and kind of like turns and Hulk charges through like, well, this is what you were expecting. You were expecting him to like basically smash into one of the walls, not of the temple, but of the space, like the side of the museum wall, and he doesn't. He does, but it's kind of it's almost like a burrowing machine, in that it like just smashes into this thing and just tears, elementally speaking, into the stone. The wall stands mostly, but where they almost dove into the wall and tore through it and stuff, it's like collapsing as it's burrowing. So it's like a, I don't know. There's got to be some creature that tunnels through Earth, and like the tunnel doesn't stay up behind them; it just collapses before them. That's what it does.
It's a badger
mole.
badger mole. Yeah.
Badger mole. But yeah, just
that's what they do. Is it closes up behind them.
But yeah, you couldn't see it. This is like this is like a very good digging thing going through, like nothing with more resistance than sort of loose sand. But yeah, there's just a sense of there's anger and rage and frustration, and it takes like 2 bounding steps and just into this thing and just right into the wall. And that is the just to pull the curtain aside, that's the unstable or temporary thing. His moment of clarity did not stand as soon as the situation changed. He is out of here. Not gone necessarily, but going to be some work getting back to him, and trying to make that connection again for Kiln. Meanwhile,
Alex is going to leap into action to take care of the museum situation.
Okay, Alex, what are you doing? Let's hear that.
So Alex is going to hold up a hand and be like, folks, I got this, and approach the guards, whoever is here accosting us, and just say, hey, can we talk over at the corner? I'll explain everything.
Do you flash any identification, anything that like kind of?
Once they get over there, yeah.
Okay.
Or
All right.
or if they insist on it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, fast enough so that like it's, nobody's seeing the rank or anything on there. It's an Aegis badge. Boom. So what do you? Obviously, there's been some damage done here again. So there's a lot of momentum towards repercussions coming. How do you divert that momentum? Like, where do you point it? Like, call somebody, or it's like, how do you control the momentum, and which way do you direct it? I guess.
So I don't know if you all are aware that there was some destruction recently in the museum. But
and they just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's being paid for, and I think this little bit will be okay to tack onto that.
Wait, you're one of those kids that was here yesterday, right?
Right.
They didn't. Nobody said you were coming back. Yeah. I mean, it's okay, kid. This is so far above my pay grade. I can't even smell it from here.
You ain't the only one. I have bosses I report to as well, so I get you.
Fine. Jeez. All right. I tell you what. We don't need any more press. That'll close down the museum for the rest of the day. I know they don't want that. Listen, that door right over there, out through the hallway. Yeah, just if you don't need to be here, let's get you out of here now.
I'm totally okay with that. By the way, normally somebody will be asked to explain this. For a situation like this, I recommend something like aftershocks from the previous damage.
Yeah. We got that. Unstable repairs that we thought had, structures that we thought were stable. Yeah, we got it. Yeah. So.
All right, show us the way. We'll see ourselves out.
This isn't the right. Obviously, this is the right. Not the right ID, but I love the little Aegis like badge.
I have a move for this when you invoke your authority over civilians. So like.
Oh, let me see. I did. If I skipped a move, I don't want to skip a move. God, I love that picture that you grabbed for her. For them, sorry. Mission first, higher calling. Which one is it? Oh, higher calling.
Higher calling covers a lot of stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a so when you book your authority over civilians, Halcyon city personnel or agent staff, roll soldier on a hit. But on a miss, okay. So yeah, your words carry weight. Yeah, I didn't even make your roll, but it absolutely. Yeah, if it had gone to the 7-9, it would have been simple as like send you off your way and then they immediately call somebody. In this case, they don't. It just rolls back in there. So unless somebody's checking the line item invoice for all the damages and notice that like the last 6 or 7 things listed have the day after's date on it, it's going to take a while to get back to anybody.
That they must have put the date that the damage was discovered. Sloppy.
Plant damage? There weren't any plant things. They called the guy back up. So, that was the second time the kids came back. The what now? Yeah, it'll be a while before that comes to light. To be fair, the repairs happen pretty quickly because this is Halcyon City, and damage from supervillains is like, street cleaning.
There's an app for that.
Yeah. That's like dealing with street cleaning, It's just what happens. Snow removal. All right. So you guys
I know that you're going to remember this, Joyce, and have it get back to the school at the appropriate time.
Here's the thing. It's probably going to be months because I'm going to have to wait till one of you fuckers rolls a 6. And apparently that's never going to happen. I say with love.
I just say, like, when we're rolling more moves per hour, you're going to see more sixes per
See
hour.
more failures.
So.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, there has been a fair number of
Yeah,
dice
fair
rolls.
number. As many as like 2 or 3 games we've had. So
11, 9, 11, 9, 7, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rolls. That's not none. Although to be fair, yes, density of rolls, but a little bit lower. Anyway, session from earlier this week with the girls. I don't think we rolled dice, which was a thing.
The opposite.
Well, the Nova was doing stuff, but the Nova kept using burn. Oh, that's not true. She rolled for burn. But after that, you don't really have to roll. Novas are interesting. They have a good mechanic there of like, I've got so many conditions I can't possibly function if I have to roll any moves. Luckily, if I get burn, I get the equivalent of all the moves without having to roll. Not all the moves, but many of them. Anyway. I can get emotionally screwed up
Deal
and
with it
still
on the other side.
I can get emotionally screwed up and still wreck the planet. Anyhow, okay. So Joe quickly retrieves the hat that seems to bring the whole outfit together, literally, and you guys, it's to say that it's a labyrinthine kind of exit. It's not confusing in that it is follow the green exit signs, but this was clearly not originally intended as an exit. So it's a series of hallways. It's like when you go to the doctor's office for a checkup and they say just you can go out through the back door and you've got to like take 6 turns to get out through a hallway that you didn't even notice when you were coming into the office in the first place. But it keeps you from going out the front if you're so inclined. And it's that kind of a thing because it's you're back in office space, other stuff like that.
On the way out.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
On the way out, Alex is going to mention, hey, by the way, did you folks know that Hellbinder coordinated with the administrator, curator, somebody or other of the museum here to the tune of $250,000 as basically an advance on their repair bills for hosting us and the C-list supervillain soiree.
I'm actually just amused at that. Wondering if we actually kept under budget on that particular project.
Well,
wait a second. He sent all those guys to beat us up, or to see if we could beat them up.
Yep.
You think we did good?
The dead silence is just. What did you say, Roddy? What was Roddy's response there?
You think we did good?
Well, we won, other than an unfortunate glue-related incident and Elliot taking to the sky. I think it went well. We'll have to ask Sergeant Surge, though. Apparently, Hellbinder and Surge cooperated to arrange this get-together. If you ask me, this is retribution for the Surge Suppressors joke, which I totally take the blame for, by the way. I didn't mean to get you all caught up in that. I'm just saying.
I like
so
the
that's how.
fact,
You like what?
I
You
like
cut
the
out
fact
there.
that people's. I stopped because I realized I was interrupting. I like the fact that people are still calling us that.
The surge
Well,
suppressors.
that's
It's pretty good. I like it. Yeah, I mean, the whole conversation. I mean, I know you guys aren't aware of this, but the flash or the cutaway scene at the end of like a couple episodes ago, where Surge came into Hellbinder's offices. I think it's time for a field trip. Where all this stuff kind of came together. It certainly seems like not only did they do it, but this is not the first time that this has been. Phoenix Academy field trips are apparently high budget and targeted affairs to a certain extent.
Yep. And also, Alex is going to hold up two things. One is a rock hammer, and the other is chunks of rock from the temple and possibly also Nega.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Nega would shed. Well, actually, at this age, probably they would. But oh, so you got like some samples from the temple and that kind of thing.
Yep.
What do you do with those?
I want to tell you folks about a project I like to call Dig Dug.
Oh
And
my God.
if you didn't read the forums, I'll recap briefly.
Okay.
Alex wrote this piece of software a while back when they started first trying to answer some of these questions about the team, in particular Kiln and where they came from and all that. And Dig Dug scours the Aegis database, public databases, private databases, all kinds of stuff, and does two things. Image recognition on photos of things that look like temples or temple-like structures or ruins, to do an architecture match on anything that looks like a temple from Kiln's people. And also, secondly, does geologic survey analysis. In other words, a piece of stone has a particular composition. You can date rock via various radiometric dating methods. You can identify like where in the geologic column it lies. You can identify where on the planet it lies just on how it's composed. So what Kiln thinks is if there's other temples, they can be found by a combination of these two search systems. And so what they wanted to do was get a sample of this rock to figure out where this came from originally so that we can bend kind of a surveillance satellite at that same area. And we can also bend a similar satellite at where Joe's transformation occurred. So Alex is going to lay all this stuff out and be like, hey, for the inevitable moment where we're grounded for skipping class, oh, I'm sorry, not grounded. What is the school equivalent? I forget. I don't go to school. I do now. God damn it. But anyway, if we get censured for skipping class, we have a great, exciting software project that you can all help me with.
I hate that you called it Dig Dug.
That's
Why?
outstanding. It's fantastic.
And the other option was Load Runner.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so bad. I love it. So on the one hand, I will hang my head in shame. I need to get caught up on all the personal point of view POV journals you guys have put up. On the other, for the purposes of posterity and the fact that it's recorded within the game, I'm glad that you explained it so that when listening to this, it's actually
I'm not
all
going
in
to make
context.
anybody go out of game to learn something. I'm going to make sure it was more like
It's all good.
I know that people have read it and would not be surprised by this announcement.
Right.
That's all.
Right. Well, yeah, and for anybody who happens to be later listening and going, "What the hell are they talking about?" That's always good.
Also, for anybody who's later listening, check out my mixtape. It's fire.
It's awesome. People do listen. I get comments. Still get comments. Anyway, some of them coming very quickly after the thing is released, which is cool. A little surprising. Anyway.
I think
okay.
the word you want is terrifying.
It's folks dig it. They dig it all. They dig it. They dig it to a great degree. Okay, so I think it's actually not terribly late in the morning. It's probably 10:30ish. I mean, like we said, you guys got out of there before classes really even got started, and you weren't actually at the museum for too very long. It's probably about 10 right now. Do you head back? Do you say, in for a penny, in for a pound, and let's go out on the town? Or what do you do? Once you're back in the sunlight, hat firmly in place, Joe. Not that it seems like it would. There's a little voice in the back of your head that says it might not even matter. At least not here. What do you guys do?
I
Well,
think we need to go talk to I am drawing a blank on the name. Hellbinder. Principal Hellbinder.
Headmaster, please.
Headmaster, thank you.
Do you want to do that right away, or do we want to, like...
Why would we wait?
Oh.
Because there's a really exciting soccer to look at. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
It's Taco Tuesday?
I'm not sure that I understand why this surprises you, given the role of this place and what they're trying to do. It seems to me they can only do so much in the gymnasium in terms of testing our reaction to a real situation. So, not entirely surprised. Would be surprised if there was any real danger involved.
I saw plenty of danger.
I mean, Joe has a point there. There were rocks falling. People did get hit. Some folks did end up in the infirmary and stuff like that, but no civilians. So it's the people that sort of signed on to do this kind of work. So Met's right too.
So my question is, what are you going to say to him, and how is that going to change the situation?
I mean, Alex.
I mean, just going in and yelling at him is not going to change things.
I could break his desk.
Oh, I'm not just going to yell. I'm not sure if that's where she was going with that, Joe. But that's perfect. I mean, Alex might get extra credit for pointing out that you guys figured it out. That's, Anybody
else weighing in here?
Yeah, because I kind of picture you guys almost like either standing outside the museum kind of just, having this debate, or even like walking down the street while... Yeah, I don't know. Are you guys talking and walking once you're outside the museum, or is this kind of like you guys pull up and figure out what you're going to do and you kind of stop, like back in it's like the area on the side of the museum where they have like a couple of bike racks, and there's like a couple of metal hexagonal. Hexagonal. I know what I did. The emphasis was on the wrong syllable. Like picnic table kind of, circular kind of things.
Where the field trips go out and eat lunch.
Or the employees. Something, actually not even the field trips, but like the field trip guys are going to stay in the cafeteria area where they might, go and spend some more money. The employees want to, kind of a smoke break and bike rack kind of area back out here where the exit would dump out. So you guys could be back here or walking. It seems more like you're maybe standing still, but yeah, I guess. I like Margie saying, does anybody else want to jump in? But like the body language from Med is the similar kind of thing where she just kind of like her hands do a motion that would seem to invite other people to join in.
Well, honestly, what is our goal here? I mean, for me, it's okay. It's good to know. Talking to Hellbinder isn't going to change the situation at all. Knowing that this is something he's doing might be useful. Even things moving forward.
If he doesn't know that
we're kids. He's not going to do anything different, no matter what we say to him. So why say anything?
Yeah, some of the established stuff for the school does seem, I mean, Matt's not wrong. Some of the established practices for the school is kind of like, I mean, even if the kids mix it up and end up, even if the students mix it up and end up in like sort of a superpowered brawl, as long as it's not inside the building, he doesn't stop it. Like, that's...
You trying to get expelled?
Now that's just Brody bringing his own agenda into this whole thing. Man, you always say we should. This is now another incorrect quotes thing. It's like we keep trying to get expelled. Why do you always try to get us expelled? I don't know. It just seems like a really good idea. Like I just.
And again, to what end?
Well,
then we don't have to go to class.
Parents might have other ideas.
you always say that.
You already don't go to class.
Yeah, but people yell at me about that. This way, no one will yell at me.
They'd yell at you for the other thing.
I can guarantee people will be yelling at you.
Well, yeah, because I don't have any good comeback for that.
The trick is to go to class and just not pay attention, okay?
Not all of us can surf the internet on our brain.
Yet.
See, now
Okay.
I definitely feel like you guys are walking while you're doing this because this is the kind of like shots fired back and forth sort of thing.
Oh, okay, so I just want to point out one thing. Like, hey Joe, didn't you like destroy a bunch of stuff previously in the gym?
I was going to say that's a touchy subject for Joe, but I think that's kind of all of them.
It's also mute, so.
So, they're not charging you like $250,000 for gym repair. They gave you detention, so that seems kind of rough. But I agree that the question is like, what do you want to do about this? Like, I'm not going to tell you do it or don't. I just want to ask you like, what do you think is going to happen?
Wait, you're asking the bull to think about the consequences of his actions before he takes them?
Yeah.
It's a bold move.
Interesting play cut. Let's see if it plays out for us.
I'm actually looking at Kiln during all of this
God.
because this is like her scene previously. So
There, but yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing is like Kiln's bit. So there's some interesting layers here because there's a little bit more to it than just what Alex sussed out, and that may be.
Alex is going somewhere with this, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because there's some layers here. Because what Alex is sort of sussed out is that they sort of set up the superhero brawl in an open space, like relatively easy area. Speaking to repair, because it's not technically a building. There's some external or extra damage that tend to happen, whatever. But that was one thing, and that was the fight. Unrelated to this other stuff with the temple and Kiln's connection to it and what happened in there, which all seems to have been sort of predicated or built off of the exchange with the the ancient history guy. That doesn't seem to have been part of it, although the fact that did happen in museum, could have happened in museum, then that's kind of where that extra wrinkle thrown in. That doesn't seem to have been intended by the school. That's a whole other wrinkle on it, perhaps unintended. Probably
Or maybe not intended by the school, but intended by somebody at the school.
Yeah. Although worth noting, and you're poking around, like he was the one that was picked out. See, here's the thing. I don't know whether you would have even thought about this. Like, is there some other ulterior motive? Because the way you read it, even now knowing what you know and kind of reading it again in that light, it still feels like Surge's main reason for sending that guy in charge of the thing was one, because he knew that guy didn't particularly like you guys that much, so that it would kind of put you in the correct mental state of mind to punch somebody. And also, it doesn't seem like Surge likes the guy very much. I think he sort of just liked the idea of putting him into the situation. Anyway.
But I still want to see what Joe says about this.
Yeah. This is all happening in zero time space.
Excuse me.
I like the thought that, we are doing this as we're walking along, and at one point we pause to, grab some ice cream or something. And we just continue on.
While you're arguing about like that and like it wouldn't be ice cream. It's something on the street, like churros or something.
They have
Sure.
ice cream on the street.
I know, but like some kind of food van that would be parked along the street for people.
Something on a stick, is that what you're saying?
Well, it could be ice cream on a stick, really, but like that kind of a deal, like like some sort of food van, whatever. It doesn't really matter, unless you guys have strong opinions about. Not that I dislike the idea of ice cream. Big fan.
I don't like that he put my friends in danger.
Okay. But your friends are going to be put in danger all the time if we become superheroes, right?
But that's our choice. And besides, I'll beat that danger up too.
Wait. Joe, are we friends?
You know what I mean.
I wasn't in danger.
No, I'm serious here. Are we friends?
I mean, Killen, you did get punched through like 3 walls.
Technicalities.
You're friend adjacent.
I think that still counts.
Hey, Roddy, welcome to the club.
I know. I
Oh,
always thought that Joe had something out for me.
Oh, good God, rib the bull. This is fantastic. Such a good idea.
You know Joe, he's a big softy inside.
So Matt steps up and says, "Well, this isn't really helping with us deciding what we're doing today."
I'm good for that.
Wait, did you say I'm doing that or I'm good with
I'm
that?
getting to that.
Oh, you're getting to that. I gotcha.
So, Joe,
Does it
here's
involve more frozen confection?
yes, it does.
Okay, I'm with you.
Oh, good.
Okay. So, Joe, here's the thing about this. This is a great causal chain of events because you knocked over the gym. We got detention. They probably decided that we needed to be roughed up a little bit, and so arranged the field trip, probably because we made a great showing on clowning on Surge and the aforementioned structure of the gym, which means that us going to the gym, or not the gym, I'm sorry, going to the museum was kind of indirectly something that you did. I'm not going to say your fault because you actually did a really good thing here. Going to the museum and causing some devastation and getting access to the I'm really smart. Hear me out. And getting access to the museum and the temple within and the rock creature and all the stuff gave me these rock samples right here, which are going to help me find like more temples for Kiln and probably something related to your transformation, which means you personally, Mighty Joe Young, Joey, big guy who looks like Brian Blessed. Can I call you Dad? Anyway, that would be Hugh Beaumont, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm just going to say you did a really good thing. You're going to help people.
But what happened to beating up Hellbinder?
I didn't say that was off the menu.
I wasn't going to beat up Hellbinder.
Like, I don't think that, like, okay, so beating up your school's headmaster is not really a good look for a student.
It's really not a good look for a hero.
Yeah. So instead of that, why don't we bask in our superiority, having figured out Hellbinder and Sergeant Surge's fiendish plan, and we can go do a search for temples. That's what I suggest we do today.
And get ice cream?
Yes. Oh, tiramisu. Met, have you tried tiramisu?
What?
Tiramisu.
I will say, parenthetically, thought in the back of your head, Joe, I will speak as the voice in the back of your mind. It is fun to watch Met enjoy food that she hasn't eaten before.
It's true.
It is very enjoyable.
And if Met were actually, on board with this whole going off and getting tiramisu, Joe is not going to interfere with that plan.
It's fair. Do you think all of this stuff about Joe, you did a good thing? Do you think that's a comfort and support? It feels like it is to me. Do you think do you think it lands that way, or could potentially?
Persuade and manipulate, but it probably falls under the comfort and support.
It's comfort and support for an aegis agent, which tracks as persuade and manipulate.
When Amanda Waller tells you you've done a really good job, there's
You
a lot
look
of layers
behind
there.
Alex, do you want to roll comfort and support and see if it lands?
I will roll it just in case I have a mundane of -1.
Just in case. Well, that could be a bad roll. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay.
I got my advance.
There you go. We got a bad roll finally. Yay! No. All right. Give me a sec here. Okay. Joe, I think, well, actually, let's flip that back to Alex. So you had said all the stuff, la 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 la, and his thing with, so the exchanges I've got is like, you did a great job. What does this have to do with punching Hellbinder? It doesn't have anything to do with punching Hellbinder. I think what we ought to do is go and do this other thing with the temple. Um, does that involve ice cream? Yes, in fact, it involves tiramisu. And you see, Joe kind of, well, if Matt's into it, kind of a thing. From your point of view, as the person who sort of offered up that olive branch and kind of talked the bull down, do you feel like that's Joe opening up to you, kind of like at least expressing the frustration and that kind of stuff? Pretend for a moment this was a successful roll. Does this count as like that feedback that you need for that comfort and support to count?
It sounded non-committal to me. But
Okay. How far do you go here, Joe? Like with kind of like bending to the will of the group, and how do you vocalize that? Or are you, if everybody just heads off for Terror-misu, are you just like shove your hands in your pockets and follow after? Or is it kind of like, well, if you guys are all going to do that, then
Well,
do you verbalize it, or you kind of keep it to yourself?
Well, I'm not convinced that this was any sort of big plan that led to something good happening. But I mean, if people, he says, looking at everybody but Matt, want tiramisu, I mean, I'm not going to be the killjoy here.
You're just going to be the kill hell. You're just going to be a kill hellbinder here.
Deeply bruise. More of a bone bruise.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't roll off the tongue very well. I'll work on that. Anyway.
Okay, so if that, Bill, you think about whether or not that's enough for him to like have kind of like opened himself up a little bit. But the group, I will just narrating a bit here because I'm narrating to this for, kind of like, oh yeah, Terror-misu. Roddy's like, if it's the one if it's the one that Alex is talking about, I know exactly which one they were talking about. So follow me. And people kind of going on. Joe's kind of trailing along. Killen's chatting. Maybe maybe I don't know. Is Kill being chatty, or is Killen still like thinking about everything that he saw and thinking about where he can find Nega and all this other kind of stuff? What's his mood projection like? at this point?
I think that they
Sorry.
are.
Thank you. We'll get there.
Uh,
2 years. I'll tell you. I'll explain 2 years in a second.
Probably excited, but not super chatty.
It's a welcome distraction, but still,
Preoccupied.
yeah. It's a welcome distraction, but still preoccupied, kind of a thing. Sure.
Yeah.
Joe's kind of trailing along. Second row.
Dave, please use my markers.
So you're doing this, going along. Group's headed the way you're headed, the way you're intending, Alex. Whether or not Joe actually opened up, at least he's verbalizing. That kind of thing. You get a text message from you getting on the command line from Aegis. It is not from Orion B. It does not, in fact, have a name identifier on it. It just says Aegis. Need you to bring in acquired assets from the museum immediately. Temple Stone. Would it be accurate to say xenomorph? How would they categorize Nega? Temple Stone and construct sample.
Lithomorph.
Lithomorph. There you go. Thank you. Beautiful. Love that. Temple Stone and lithomorph sample. Confirm.
You're breaking up. We're in a tunnel.
Text message.
Text message not delivered.
I am going to say currently following up on a surprise discovery. Will come in soon.
Terror-misu will be a big surprise for Met, definitely.
I need to take a look at. Just taking a look at 37 here for a second. Okay. Reply is sample delivery, highest priority. Obvious tactical advantage. Team cohesion, secondary. Confirm. And they are Aegis. And Aegis has, I believe we've established Aegis has influence.
Yes.
Okay. They are shifting labels. Superior up, mundane down.
I mean, mundane is kind of Alex's dump stat, so yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, mundane is Alex's dump stat. Oh my god.
Okay, you guys, change of plans. Terror-misu is that way. Here's the address. I gotta go take care of something. Joe, you know what? That outfit looks good on you, but I have to call you Dad every time we look at that. We're gonna find a better way to disguise you, but I'd say hold on to that thing for now. I'll just tell him it's an ongoing mission. Okay, bye.
Oh.
I got orders that said all other priorities rescinded. Like, that means returning the equipment in the field. So
yeah, they didn't mention the costume, so that's net plus, I guess.
yeah, perfect.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
I'll go back to the van, which is probably still waiting, and do my.
So the door slides open and Ryan B is there and he's literally got his hand held out saying, uh, apparently I'm taking you back to the nearest office, I guess.
Taking me or taking these, and I'll hold up the samples.
Oh, well, hang on a second. And he taps out just a couple of things and I guess yeah, just the samples. Well, if you're handing them over, then yeah, why wouldn't you just hand them over? Of course you just hand them over. It's just a couple of rocks. And he kind of sets it back in the van. All right. Good job, I guess. Awesome. Oh, you're supposed to keep the clothes. Weird. Why would they mention that?
Awesome.
All right.
Great.
All right. Well, I guess I'll see you on chat.
Yeah. See you later.
All right. Now, when Alex did the abrupt 180 and took off back the opposite direction, what did you guys do? Was it off to the Terror-misu and Alex just does weird stuff, or what?
They are so weird.
I would think that momentum would sort of continue us in that direction.
Sure.
But the conversation would probably be around, the hell was that? It's not going to change. It wouldn't change my behavior. I mean,
but it does change the
we
topic
would
of
call
conversation.
out the
Yeah.
What's up with him
Every
today?
Thursday with them.
Hey, Doris,
Yes.
I just want to make clear that Alex is probably not going to catch up for Terror-misu because Alex has one more thing to do, which is infiltrate the museum again and steal another sample.
I thought you just handed over one of the two that you had.
No, I handed over what I got. I'm just going to go get more of it. So I'll be out for a while.
You'll be out for a bit. That is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, if they airdropped this into a volcano and we took like a sample of something from there before it erupted, like I would understand, we'd feel bad about losing out on this precious, valuable thing that we can never get back. But the temple's right there. It's not going. You probably haven't even got the janitors to start sweeping in there yet. I'm gonna just go in there and take care of it. So with that said, y'all have fun.
I didn't intend to separate you for a long period of time. I want that stated, but that is awesome.
I think it's funnier this way, so that's why.
Yeah, for you to come back to the thing and drop it's like those caper movies where it's like, somebody steps back from you saw a die and then they backtrack through it and you see how they survived, and it's like you see them drop Alex sets down the rocks on the table. It's like, well, are we ready to do this? And they rewind to you handing it over, and then you just going right back in the museum and ripping. It's beautiful. Okay, so what time is it? 10 after. All right. I was chuckling to myself just a second ago because thanks to my habitual pacing, I just hit my 10,000 steps for the day, which is usually how it happens on Wednesdays. This is usually when it finally ticks through. 2 years, incidentally, is the joke. I just recently, our silverware has been divided into 2 drawers above and below each other in a particular spot in the kitchen. And for no apparent reason, I just suddenly got this wild hair about 2 weeks ago to pick them all up and move them into a drawer that's right next to that, but broad. It's like a big long one. So they can sit there side by side. And all the silverware is in one drawer, right side by side. Everything's up and visible and very easy to see. It is, in the estimation of every single person who gets a vote in this house, a superior configuration, 100%. And we cannot. We very rarely do we ever reach for that drawer first. We always reach for the old drawer. Open it up, see the cutting boards, close it, and say 2 years, and then we open up the other one. Because the joke is it'll take us 2 years to get it right because we've been reaching for the other drawer for 5.
There you go. That's about right.
Yeah. We just open up and we'll go 2 years, close it, open up the other one, grab the silverware. I will get the pronouns right for everybody. I will. 2 years.
Actually, I actually just am amused that Joe occasionally gets them wrong because it's such a Joe thing that it's like it just amuses me.
Yeah. I will admit that for whatever reason, the theys keep tripping me up more than anything else. And I don't know why that is. And I don't really care. I'm just going to do better. So there we go. Anyway.
I think everybody's been really good about it. So.
And I appreciate all the corrections because, honestly, it's just good practice. All right. So we are back at, I want a name for this place, but I'm almost afraid. James, you came within a hair's breadth of getting this board game, kind of an apples to apples thing called, it was some kind, even the name of the thing was a pun, but it was like a pun, it was a pun game, board game, like a pun competition, kind of a board game. Sort of like Fictionary or something like that, but
cruel.
for puns.
Cruel.
And I almost sent it to you for your birthday, and then we spotted Gideon the Ninth instead. So
yeah, that would be too much power in this household.
Yeah, that household. It just really was. It's a little bit too on the nose. And then Kelly saw the stupid squishy soda can and just wouldn't stop giggling until I put it in the
cart,
in the basket until it went in the cart. Gideon the Ninth, one of we really enjoyed that book though, and there's a sequel. The sequel is coming soon, so
it's on my wish list on Audible.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
First one's quite fun. It's good. I like the reader.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the reader's quite good.
I have like 8 other books to get through first.
Sure. It is a lot of fun.
But I get that credit every couple of weeks, so.
Yeah. We did enjoy it quite a bit. Good stuff. The slams and put downs are top notch. Anyway, all right. So Terror-misu, I was going to ask for a name for this place that serves tiramisu, but I'm almost afraid of the answer I'd get. Does anybody have any quick suggestions for where we're sitting? It's early enough in the school year. I think you guys would probably be sitting outside. It's certainly warm enough. Or do we want to incorporate
It's actually a dessert place, not an Italian restaurant.
Sure. Yeah.
And what's the Italian word for like pastry? Or cake?
Or do we want to
pastry?
James?
Or do we want to make it Blitzkrieg?
I don't think Blitzkrieg would have tiramisu.
Oh, coffee shop having tiramisu seems kind of on brand, but doesn't have to be.
Too perishable for a
that's true. Yeah,
coffee shop.
Fair.
It's going to be more of a pastry shop. Sells coffee. Is that?
Pasticcino.
Okay. Pasticcino Italiano or just pasticcino?
I heard a bloop.
What?
I heard a bloop. I gotta go see the bloop.
What did you say, Mom?
Should we just call it pasticcina or pasticcino Italiano?
He's typing.
No, that was Kiss.
Oh, just correction. Bill is typing. Everyone's typing. We're all typing. I'm not typing.
Me.
Pasticci area. I want it to be that, but then like a horrible pun built into it. But I'm not going to try that hard for it. Seems like a squeeze I don't need to make right now. In any case, so you guys are kind of at a. It's one of those. So it's one of those buildings that is actually quite an older building, and then they've, the first floor all the way around the building has been turned into kind of like, this isn't the right phrase for it, but they've sort of strip mauled the first floor of it. So all the way around the building, all the doors into the building are actually little hole in the wall kind of cutesy shops in what is otherwise a big marble facade or stone granite facade kind of building, with then like little, pastry shops and chocolate shops and coffee shops and a Starbucks and the Deja Brew, that kind of thing, all kind of around this thing. And it's a well-known, it's a big hotel with all these little shops kind of right around the outside of the building, kind of built into the edges of the first floor, facing out into the street. So what you have in front of this place is it's a little pastry shop, with like just a couple of the little wireframe kind of circular tables for sitting at.
Very uncomfortable chairs.
Yeah, the very uncomfortable chairs. But one of them is close enough to the building that rather than sitting at a chair, Joe can sit on like the stone steps that used to like just lead up to the side of the building. So he can kind of sit there, without having to worry about the tiny little wireframe chairs that would be too small for. Honestly, they would be too small for him back when he was just a regular kid. And then pastry shop, Terror-misu. Does anybody not have Terror-misu? Does anybody see something else in there that they end up going, oh wait, oh no, I want that, whatever that thing is, cannolis, something like that. I don't know.
I know.
Hey, Joyce, just take the pun. Leave the cannoli.
Deserters Dulce, La Dulce Gita. Oh,
Dolce.
Dolce. Oh, okay. So you said the conversation kind of turned a little bit. So what is the conversation? Like, what are you guys chatting about while you're around the table? I'm just, this is sort of like again, it's not exactly a triumphant, victory celebration kind of thing, but there's certainly stuff to talk about here. So like, what's going on? What's, pursue your agendas, people. Do your thing. Ask your questions.
And when we sit down at the table, and it's like Roddy handed out the Terror-misu, is like one for Matt, one for Kelm. I don't know why Kelm didn't come to me at first, turning into Joyce. And it's like, and then finally it's like, and one for my bestest buddy Jim.
God.
Joe kind of stares a little wide-eyed and then snatches the tiramisu away.
The nicer you talk to him, the more he thinks it's some kind of put down.
This is Roddy we're talking about.
It probably is. Oh, I'm your friend. You love me. Anyway. I don't want to say anything. I want to leave it silent until you guys whether it's just like the clinking of forks against plates and stuff like that, or if you guys are doing the thing.
Coffee in this?
Yep.
Oh.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for Matt?
I don't know. She's kind of rolling it around on her tongue.
Like skim candy, only as cake.
She's already decided that whipped cream is like the most amazing thing in the world. So, you add in chocolate and coffee, and it's it intrigues her greatly.
We don't get Terror-misu around here very much because not a lot of coffee drinkers, or coffee enjoyers. I guess me and Kaylee, but that's only 2 of 5. So I've forgotten.
Get overruled.
I get it mentally crossed over in my head with flan, which is
Oh,
also
that's
not, which is
a
also not.
really odd exposition there.
I know, and it's partly also because that's another sort of thing that nobody ever gets to order, because nobody's a big fan, or does order. Anyway.
Does that mean you want flan and tiramisu for your birthday?
No, I'm super good. I actually I'm not a huge flan fan.
Flan fan?
Flan fan.
Flan.
A flan. I'm not a big fan of flan. Jesus. There's coffee in it.
She's enjoying it.
I'm just waiting. I'm just gonna. I'm seeing where the conversation goes.
So Kiln. I don't think that this Flovis is gone, do you?
Jump right to the heart of it.
At which point, yes, Matt, of course, crashes the conversation.
Not that there was. Right now, the conversation is kind of looking like this image that I just linked in my head, because it's.
I was just thinking of this image.
Everyone's just sitting around eating and not really talking.
Uh,
Having shawarma?
Yeah.
Just no one talking. Everyone just eating. Anyway.
I'm sorry. So did Kiln answer the question?
no.
I was pondering.
Kiln was wondering.
No, people kept on talking, so I was waiting. I slowly look up from where I've been stuffing my face with tiramisu, and Nega said he came to the temple thinking it was Fluvis. He's been around. He's stayed here for so long. I see. I have no reason to think that his instinct that the temple, that it was Fluvis who had reanimated the temple, that he thought that means that he hasn't been defeated.
I don't know whether you would share this thought or not, but you would certainly have this thought. Nega's not a highly tuned, sensitive instrument with regards to this kind of stuff. I mean, they were a soldier, right? They had some magitech abilities, certainly. They were built to have them, but the fact that they could tell that you had done this at what was probably some distance, you didn't find out where they were at previously, but in any case, if Luvis is around, There's no way they don't know. If Nega detected it, if Luvas is still around, there's no way they don't know that somebody from the old empire is here.
That's definitely in the back of my head.
Should I take from that to also indicate that it's going to stay in the back of your head for now?
Yeah.
So, mood killer Matt.
Sorry.
It's all right. I mean, honestly, it's hard to kill the mood from caffeine infused chocolate whipped cream. I mean,
True. You guys should be like wired up here in a minute. So
Ladyfingers.
what was that, Dave? I didn't hear that.
Don't forget the ladyfingers.
Oh,
Um,
I always forget the lay fingers.
sure.
so anybody else want to talk about the whole Alex is like a spy guy kind of thing?
I guess I would say my first response to that is similar to the Hellbinder response, which is I'm not sure that this surprises me at all. Given what this place is, that now do we know he's aegis or do we just
That I don't
of
know. I don't know
I
how.
explicitly answered this.
Yeah.
okay.
I will get the thing that I posted.
Oh,
Which
what
is
you
only-
know. Yeah, the what you know
Yeah.
thing. I was just looking at that. Sorry. Incidentally,
Okay.
since you're
The team
mentioning
knows.
that,
Yeah, the
Yes.
team knows I work for Aegis, and I'm working with the rest of you as a liaison. I'll get stuff from Aegis for you, but they'll also ask me to do stuff. You can call me Alex or Shelby or whatever you like. I don't have any superpowers, but I do have some implants. If it looks like I'm in danger, yeah, please do my ass. But yeah, it's very clear that that they know, or that the team knows collectively, that Alex, aka Agent 1337, is with Aegis.
Right. Gotcha. Completely irrelevant to, the important parts of that. Where is that first picture from? In that thread, the one with all the tattoos. It reminded me of something. I couldn't think where I'd seen it before.
I mean, all these pictures are of Ruby Rose, who walked off of Batwoman after one season and played Ajax in the second John Wick movie.
Okay. That's probably right. That's probably where I recognize it. Probably where I recognize it from.
Oh,
Super
I mean,
fun.
so again, not something that I'm particularly surprised at. You have to wonder what their urgent interest in our recent activities are. Didn't know about
So
your colleague Kiln.
so Joe's reaction is more is kind of in the realm of like, well, I know it was Aegis, but they're like really Aegis, like spy Aegis, like dang. And Matt's response is sort of like, yeah. I'm more concerned about the fact that Aegis seems super interested in us. Is that sort of a summary of your response? Like the Alex thing is not weirding you out, but the fact that Aegis seems to have taken a
Particular interest
particular interest is the more
just happened as opposed to what happened yesterday. sense.
Oh, the thing where Alex got called off,
Well,
like
I
in the
mean,
midst of everything.
yesterday he didn't. Right?
Correct. Correct.
So yesterday was a larger event, which tells me that you may have been in on it anyways, just like Spellbinder. So the question is, what was so interesting about what we did today compared to what we did
Ooh.
yesterday?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So yeah, yesterday you guys fought villains, beat some stuff up, you know, did something funky with the temple. No special calls from Aegis. This today, yeah, from your now we'll sum this up. I kind of just going around here real quick since we're right down to the sort of the bottom of the thing. I think this may be interesting. I killed sort of the obvious question, so I'll ask them first. From your point of view, what was different? What do you think, from Kiln's point of view, is the thing about today that this Aegis group, you're not entirely 100% clear what Aegis does? Some sort of secret police, secret society, cult, something? Um, priesthood? What from Kiln's point of view would be the thing that they would actually care about more about today than yesterday? About the stuff that you guys got up to.
Well, I've been careful in not telling people where the ancient tech that I arrived here with was, and even though back when I first showed up,
You recognize it,
Aegis
but you
was
may have
wanting to, Aegis
right.
was wanting to find out about it, so I'm probably focused on, you know, them going for this next best thing.
Right. They have a lead on at least some connection to what your whole thing is, like what your tech is based off or something like that. So from Killen's point of view, that's one of the things. Roddy, what do you think would have drawn their attention more today than yesterday?
That requires a level of awareness that I don't think Roddy has.
So you're not a plotter as far as this goes. You're not like you know, seeing the big picture kind of person at this point.
Let's remember Roddy's the thing Roddy most wants to do is punch villains and be a hero.
Okay, so
Plotting is not a part of what he does.
absolutely. So what's for just from Roddy's point of view? What's the difference? How does he see how is today any different than the stuff that happened in the museum yesterday from Roddy's point of view? You just didn't get to punch as many people, but there was more Terror-misu.
It's like, I think right now he's just like, wow, I must have really impressed Joe the other day because now we're friends.
Interesting.
Are you? This is more important to me now. Were you not being sarcastic? My good
No.
buddy Joe thing? That wasn't Roddy being sarcastic. That was Roddy going, hot damn, we're friends now? I love that. All right.
Yes.
It's good to know. So, Joe, let me reframe this entire question in a way that I think is more the way Joe would think of it. Met just posed a question that she seems to find very interesting. And therefore,
It's a very interesting question.
which means it must be a very interesting question. And that question is, what's different about today that Aegis would find interesting as opposed to yesterday? And it takes a while to get your head around even anything because Met wasn't put in danger today, so really.
What's different is Alex figured out what Hellbinder was up to?
That is an interesting take. I like it. And it says, again, it's interesting to me because of what Joe thinks is the most important bit. And Metz, what is your read as we come back around to you? As you're asking the question, what is your own mind supplying as the result?
My read is that they just thought that they understood what the temple was, and they assumed it was a piece of magitech. And like Hellbinder, they were curious as to what would happen if Kiln was near it. They did not expect it to be sentient or to produce a being like that. And so that totally reset their assumptions about what and where Kiln is from.
I like how all of your answers kind of reflect back on yourselves. It's interesting to me because Met's read is that Nega came from the temple, and they didn't. But I'm not correcting you. I think it's interesting that like, well, the temple was activated and Nega rose up out of it. Like, no, it's Nega came here having detected the thing, and it took him a day to get here, kind of a deal. But your read is that he came from here, which is really, really, really interesting. And rather than necessarily asking what Alex thinks is different between yesterday versus today, Alex arrives. Do you like set the rocks on the table and claim your Terror-misu, or how do you?
Oh, I'm not going to cop to having the rocks. I'm just going to casually wave and order something for myself.
Excellent, excellent. And the conversation probably shifts, and whether or not it does, we'll find out more about it next time. And I think we will wrap there by saying, Joe, closer to the team, further away from the team, more into your image of yourself.
I definitely feel closer to the team.
And confused by that, apparently.
Well, because it's kind of weird because Roddy sort of has made me feel more welcome, even though I'm not sure I like that, but there you go.
Yeah. Communications are open, but shields are still up. All right, so influence to Roddy.
Yep.
All right, you can clear condition or take potential, and your rival has influence already, yeah?
Yep.
Should, yes.
Yeah. All right. So do what you wilt with your untrammeled power, Mike. And Matt, same question.
I would say closer to the team and Kiln.
Interesting.
Thinking about the last two meetings, definitely more of a Kiln arc and getting to know them better.
Yeah.
I think everybody has influence over me, so I don't know what that means.
Probably just that. Well, first of all, you going closer, you can either take influence or either take potential or clear condition. I like the idea too.
Clear, scared, afraid.
Afraid. I I like the idea of influence because influence is the idea that like, what they're saying, what they're doing, or whatever has a particular resonance with you, and you're getting to the point where you're starting to see like the stuff that Killen is connected to is also stuff that is relevant to the stuff that's happened to you. So that makes them sort of more important.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of that too, which is cool. Alex.
I'm going to grow closer to the team. I am evenly split between Joe and Kiln this time, though. I'm going to give it to Kiln.
Okay. Roddy. And I'm saying I'm going away from the people that you guys are picking so that you guys have time to go. First of all, Killen, do you already have influence over Alex or no?
Yes.
All right. So that's shift labels. And again, Alex, potential or clear condition. I don't think you have any conditions. If you do, I didn't know. So that's probably potential. And I'm gonna jump over to Roddy while Kiln deals with the stat thing. So Roddy.
We go closer. Joe
Aw,
also met. Not everybody has influence over you.
really? Oh, you didn't have influence over Matt?
I didn't because she grew further away from the
Oh,
team a
right.
while back.
Yeah.
Did.
You had, so you got it back. Congratulations. In which case, don't shift labels because you just get influence.
Oh no, I gave it to Joe. Matt would have to give me influence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Matt.
Right.
Matt
And
did that.
I gave it to Kiln.
Right. I got confused. Sorry. My bad. You gave influence to Joe. Uh, Joe, if you already had influence in shift labels, and well, you guys all knew the routine, and that leaves us with Kiln, where really from the beginning of the session we started. So let's end with Kiln. Closer to the team, further away from the team, more into your own image of yourself. What say you?
Um, I'm going to say more into the image of myself.
Okay, cool. In that case, shift your own labels. Unleash the power of the morphing character. I need to go through. I had meant to go through and make all the notes about the moves, GM moves for each individual playbook and actually get them into the playbooks, but I have not done that yet.
Well, I've done it for myself, if that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I did notice that. I've been pulling up the page that you'd originally kind of assembled everything on. Meant to do it today, but the day got away from me. We were doing a sort of the yearly sit down and explain the purpose of us to our great grand boss, which is always fun and further complicated by everybody being on conference call. So my kind of and then the post battle, like assess the situation, where my boss calls me at like after work to talk about it. So um, did not quite get to everything I wanted to get to, but in any case, thank you. I'm sure you spotted, Bill, that I made use of that on your 4, so it's always fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I like it. I really do, and I'm kind of mad at myself for not having thought about it before. And honestly, I was kicking myself just a few days ago because I also need to do it for the other game. Although there's a point at which I don't know. It's an interesting thought experiment to I have to wonder if there'll always be a place for it, but I feel like the place to really hit it is early in the game. And as the characters become more like less a playbook and more only themselves.
Yeah, like you start with soldier moves, and you'll eventually get to what you know as GM Alex moves.
Yeah, exactly. And then at that point in time, there's just stuff that you hit. Like, well, I shared that thing that I did with the little picture of the Nova, like the see no evil, hear no evil, except it's like melt no brains out of my eyes, my ears, and my nose kind of facial expressions. And literally the entire episode for her, well, that's not true, but a big chunk of the episode for her was literally in her kitchen making caramel rolls with her mom. And it was breaking her brain. Just scene after scene. And that's not a Nova thing. That only works because it's not a Nova, it's an Ember. And, you know, so yeah, it's definitely the kind, but it's great for that initial really jump into the you know what I mean? the jump into the flavor of the playbook and really reemphasize that and make sure that the playbook stuff is what's happening. You know.
And at this point, you've launched one of the things that I think is key for Soldier, for example, which is that stress of loyalty with Aegis.
Exactly.
And you don't get that unless you make the GM move to do something like that.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
which is great. Yeah, I love that too. And it you know, I think it's important, like whatever the Soldier organization is, whether it's Aegis or something else, and certainly it defaults to Aegis, but whether it's Aegis or something else, they're never wholly good. They're never wholly bad, but
They have their own agenda.
It's that split agenda is, as Bill already said, it's just really kind of a key bit. So fun to get into that. Appreciate that. Cool. All right. Thanks again, guys. I think rather than well, in any case, I'm gonna hit the stop recording and. Thank you again for a lovely evening, and kind of fun to have them kind of close to each other. That was pretty cool too.
I want to throw in real quick while people are here.